Episode from ABD to PhD show. I'm your host, Dr. Ramon Goings, founder of Done Dissertation, where we demystify the dissertation process so that you, the doctoral student, can write and defend your dissertation in 1 year or less. This episode from ABD to PhD is sponsored by the Done Dissertation Velocity Group Coaching Program. It is a coaching program with the goal over the next 4 months to help you, the doctoral student, either write and defend your dissertation proposal or your final dissertation over the next 4 months. Again, there's a number of you all this summer that are trying to get out of your doctoral program. You want to take advantage, you want to get the momentum, and you may need the support infrastructure. So if that is you, we want you to work with us. We are a community of scholars, and I want to see you all win. So if you want to get your dissertation done, make sure that you reach out to us to apply to work with us, and you can visit our website at www.velocitydissertation.com. And if you're someone who is watching this on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, you can actually just scan the QR code that you see on your screen. It will take you directly to the website, and you can work with us and apply to work with us. This episode is so important today because I want to talk about the summer break. So for a number of you all, as you're going through your doctoral journey, everybody just finished up the semester at the time, live of this recording, and have so many great ideas about how to take advantage of the summer break. Some of us said, you know what, the summer is going to be a break. I'm not doing anything. And I know for some of you all, you planned those trips to Cabo, to Cancun. Some of you all hit that Beyonce show up in Paris. I saw a number of y'all on my timeline that was out in Paris kicking it, trying to get those good prices on that Beyonce show. So, I know we're trying to take advantage of the summer and do things that are of interest to us, but I think we need to start possibly thinking differently about our summer break and why this might not be the best time to take a complete break from your dissertation. And again, in this episode, I'm going to give you and talk about 3 reasons why and some strategy on how you can make best use of the summer break and why not to break away from your dissertation at this time. Real quick, there are a number of you all who have reached out about our summer school series. So in July, we have a summer school series. We're going to talk about different aspects of the dissertation process. So if you are someone who is trying to get some insight and want to kind of see more about what we do, the only way you're going to learn more about our summer school series in the month of July is if you are in our text message or email community. And so in order to become part of that community, you can go right here and text hashtag summer school to 301-701-2466. And this way you can get more information about our summer school series. And again, this is all about taking advantage of the summertime. There's a number of us who are trying to figure out what to do, how to do it. And I want to give you all the insight on today's episode on what you should be thinking about. So first things first, when we think about our summer break, right? And I'm going to give an investing as an example because I think this is a great way to think about it. The reasons why you don't take a break right now from your dissertation is because you can be drastically and negatively impacted by the effects of compound interest. And so if you all think about this from an investment standpoint, right? Think about if you put your money into the S&P 500 or if you invest in real estate, if you do some form of investing, right? The whole purpose and kind of definition of compounding and compounding interest is that when you put your money into something, as it will grow and magnify over time. We're going to compound, right? We're going to put $10 in today. We're going to put another $10 in. That's 20. And we're going to continuously build. As you invest, in this case, money into whatever the vehicle is, it starts to compound. And then when we take compounding interest, right, what ends up happening is not only does your investment compound, so say the $10 that you put in, but now you're not only compounding the principal what you put in, but now the interest is compounding as well. So that $10, a month or two later might be $12.50. Then you add another $10, that's $22.50, and then that's going to compound. And you start to get these infinite amount of returns, and it continues to grow, and it continues to grow exponentially. But what I would say in trying to turn this example around to how you navigate the dissertation process is that what I found from helping so many doctoral students and even in my own journey is that the reason why you don't take a break from the dissertation is because it's so hard to come back to it. And then that compounding interest works against you. And because what ends up happening is that, you take a break, let's say, initially you thought, hey, I'm going to take a week break. And then when you come back to the document, you don't even remember where you left off. And then you're spending all this time going back to revising those other things. And before you know it, you have not accomplished anything and you get very discouraged. And it can easily, a break that you plan to take for a week might turn into 2 weeks to a month. And it gets to a point where you've had so much time away that you just get so discouraged from doing the writing and doing all the things that you look up and then a whole year has gone past and you don't know what's happening. This is why during the summer we believe that it is best to keep moving forward as much as possible. Like, but if you need a break, take a short break, right? So that might be taking 24 hours away, but don't take weeks away from the document because it's just so hard to pick up that momentum. Literally, the strategy on how to finish the dissertation is to do a little bit consistently. The more consistent you show up for the dissertation, the faster it goes. And the more consistent you do it, the more progress that you see. And the more progress that you see, you're more likely to be more consistent about it. And it's this cyclical, thing that happens. And before you know it, because of compounding interest, it starts to happen very quickly. And then next, you look up and, a month later, you have a whole chapter written. And we see this for our clients all of the time. Shout out to Dr. Terrace Watson, who recently defended her dissertation. I was able to attend her dissertation defense, and I was able to see it. During her time working with us over 4 months, she was able to write 3 chapters and start collecting her data. And so, before you look up, this time flies. And what I want you all to start thinking about is how to take advantage of the time versus waiting around and then say, you know what, I'll take a break, and I'll wait and I'll come back in the summer. And because that's not what you want to do. And we're all about, and I know during this process that our mental health is very important. Even myself, I had to take a break this week because I was just crashing and burning. Like, I took a whole day off with no work because I just couldn't keep going at the rate that I was going. And I know for a lot of you all, that might be the case, right? So there are definitely times when you need a break. Even in my book, 14 Secrets to a Done Dissertation, I have a chapter dedicated to what I call dissertation intoxication, whereas you become so consumed with your dissertation that you kind of forego other aspects of life, like getting good rest, spending time with family, all those things. And so I'm a firm believer in having integration, right? Not necessarily balance, because it's hard to balance at times, but having this work-life dissertation integration. But we have to spend and be willing to invest time into our dissertation if we want it to be done. A lot of us just don't finish because we're not willing to invest the time. We're willing to invest the time to get the new job promotions. We're willing to invest the time in our family. We're willing to invest in time in our friends and other things that we say matter. But when it comes to our dissertation, which we also says matter, we're not willing to invest that same amount of time. And so when you're at this point, I want to give you 3 kind of strategies to think through as you are thinking about, how do I take advantage and not let this compounding interest work against me? First things first, if you need a break, take a day break. Take a 24-hour break from your dissertation, but come back to it the following day. You will look at the document with such fresh perspective. It will be amazing to see what happens. And when you come back that next day, start writing fresh. Do not go back and reread everything that you previously wrote. A lot of us, that's our mistake, right? We're first going to reread everything else, but no, you want to start each day fresh, involved in the creative process of writing to move the document forward. Then there will be times when you are burnt out and you can't create and you have no more juices flowing, if you feel like that, that you will then go back and edit and refine. Those are the days to do that type of work. But first, take your day break, come back to it with a fresh perspective, and start continuing to write. For many of y'all, you might just need not necessarily a break, but because you're trying to go about this doing these kind of binge writing sessions 4 to 8 hours at a time, that might not always be the best bet for you. Whereas you can give yourself a little bit of time consistently to then build up to getting your dissertation done. And then on days, there are going to be days that you are burnt out, right? The writing doesn't come, even the editing you don't want to do. But there are other things that you can do that might be mindless tasks, but needed tasks that can get you one step closer. So maybe on those days where you have no energy to write, or like the juices aren't flowing, you might then work on your reference list. Or that might be the day that you start working on, let's say, your proposal defense presentation. Or you might be working on your slides for your final defense. Or, you might engage in some other task, reaching out to your chair, doing something that gets you one step closer, because the process is all about small incremental steps versus the long journey. And so, again, if this is resonating with you, let me know in the comments. I'll love to hear from folks who are joining in live. If you're watching this on a replay, drop your whatever is resonating with you. But again, this episode, I want to invite you to our summer school series that is happening the entire month of July. But the only way that you get information on this is if you are part of our community, either on our email list or text message list. So if you want to become involved, there's 2 options. You can text hashtag summer school to 301-701-2466. And again, it's hashtag, make sure you include this hashtag, summer school to 301-701-2466. and you'll get a text back from me and just asking you to put your information in so we have you on our form. This is way I know to reach out to you that you are interested in our summer school series. Or if you're someone that's watching this online right now, you can go ahead and scan the QR code. If you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, you can scan the QR code that's up on the screen on the right-hand side. That'll take you to our dissertation process survival guide that you can grab access to, and that will get you into our email community so that you have information about when we start our summer school series in the month of July. And our summer school series will be dedicated to various aspects of the dissertation process. So we're going to talk about developing, academic writing. We're going to talk about writing your literature review. We're going to talk about building out your theoretical and conceptual frameworks, as well as how to navigate feedback with your faculty members. And so we know those are key components that folks might need as they are getting through the process. And so make sure that you check in and loop around with us, that you get information for that event. And again, it's going to be the entire month of July, but only people on our email list and our text message community will get access to the information. So if you're not part of it, you will miss out. And if you're a current client, or someone who's watching that's already involved with us in that capacity, bring a friend. Have your friends sign up. We want to help more people. And so the more people we help, we want to see folks finishing their dissertations. And I literally have people, even that don't work with us, because of doing these lives, have gotten the information in the push to finish their dissertation. So I love that. And if you're one of those students and you have not become our client, but you have finished, shoot me a text message, send us an email, reach out to us, shoot us a DM, let me know, because I love to hear that information, because again, we do these videos for you all to give you all the insight and strategy to get through the process. And so again, make sure that you join our summer school series, and I'll leave this up. So again, if you want to text us to learn more about it, make sure that you shoot us a text. And so again, we're going to talk about 3 reasons why the summer break is not the time to take a break from your dissertation. So the first thing we talked about, of course, was this idea of compound interest. We got to stay on it a little bit at a time each and every day. But then I want to talk about is that the second part is that the summer break becomes a great time because you can take advantage and make progress with your chair being away on their break. Because look, I'm a dissertation chair myself. I have doctoral students, and I just told some of my students, this week is like, look, this is my last week. After this week, I'm out of here. The way email will be out, and you all, had to catch me up when we get back in August, because our contract ended already. And so, a lot of folks, and you might be included, might be afraid to make progress and move things forward because you want the approval of your chair. But and I hear this oftentimes from students, and I know a lot of you are fearful of this, right? You feel like, hey, I want to have the success, I want to do all the things, but I'm not quite sure without their guidance that I'm moving in the right direction. But one thing I do know for certain, if you take a break, you will have nothing progressed. Even if it was wrong, I'd rather you have something that you can give to your chair to get some feedback on, because feedback pushes you in the right direction. But if you're someone who continuously stays and tries to just, say, I'm going to wait for my chair to do everything, it's going to work against you. And you're going to, that time that you could have been, engaged in your dissertation, you have taken that 2 to 3 month break. And when you come back in August, now you're trying to regroup, reconnect with the document. It feels like a foreign document. And then you engage in all these things, and that compound interest starts to work against you. And I want you to understand this, because I always, in my coaching and strategy, I always try to give you all the truth from both sides, right? From the student side, because I see it as a coach, but then from the faculty side, because I am a faculty member and I know what it's like from that side as well. And I chair dissertation, so I'm kind of immersed in the things that you all are going through. What I want you all to start realizing is that the folks who finish their dissertation start to take command of the process. Whereas, of course, you want to get the guidance and support from your chair, but you can't sit idle waiting for them to tell you what to do. You have to start taking some ownership. And when we think about it in the grand scheme of things, right, you only really have access to your chair for about 8 months, if you think about it. So let's start thinking about what the calendar looks like, and and why you have to start taking more ownership, because you won't always have access to your faculty members, right? And so let's take it from right now, right? Semester ends around May. June. If we look at June, July, and August, most faculty, so not all doctoral programs are the same. So we can't take that as a blanket statement. But typically, and let me know in the comments if this is your case, June, July, and August, your faculty member is possibly off of contract, so they are on break, and you don't have access to them at all. Let me know if that's you in the comments. Some of you are in doctoral programs that kind of go and revolve year round. You're at an advantage if you have that, but many do not. They're in a program where, faculty members contracts in, and they are gone June, July, and August. Now, August, end of August into September is when faculty start to come back. But as a faculty member, September, like end of August into September, is like a very busy time for faculty because one, we're trying to get our classes up and running. Two, we have all these meetings that start off the semester. So you might have departmental retreats that are 1 to 2 days during the week. You might have other meetings. Some of us might be on like our faculty senate. We might be on these other service committees that all start to meet like those first couple of weeks in September. Some of us might be on search committees. All these things start to bubble up in September. And quite frankly, we can become very overwhelmed. And so sometimes you might get frustrated with the timeliness of feedback, but it's just because what faculty are dealing with at that point in time, it's just a lot going on. Not to say that you aren't important because they are thinking about you as well, but there's something to be said about what happens during the start of the semester for faculty. But now, if you think about it, that kind of rules out a lot of September, where you might be able to get those meetings, with your chair maybe mid to late September. Now, if we think about it from there, you really have October and November in the first part of December to have access to your chair. And, we think about December, we kind of cut that off because we have, end of semester, end of the semester ends, around the 15th to the 20th, giving your institution. Before that, you have the Thanksgiving break. So you lose out on those like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of that week of Thanksgiving. And then if you think about it as well, November, December, faculty are going to, then maybe their disciplinary conferences. So there's a number of things that, compete at the time. And so what you have to start thinking about is that you have to get those meetings in when you can get them in, right? So you have access to them then. Then once the semester ends, folks are out, at least from, December 15th to 20th till after the new year. So you might not be able to get back on your chair's calendar to maybe January, the 8th or 10th, something like that. And so that timeline starts to work. And now, at that point, faculty are returning back and they're trying to get those classes up and running for the spring semester. So that leaves you with February, March, April to really be doing, getting things done and accomplished with your chairs. And then around May, you might have the first part of May, but, faculty, we're trying to end classes. We have dissertation defenses. Like, look, I remember May, I think I had like 1 week, I had 4 dissertation defenses, I think, in that week. Like, we have a lot going on. So you can imagine I'm reading all these dissertations, preparing for those defenses. All these things are happening. There's a lot going on. I chaired one. Shout out to Shawnee for defending her proposal. So I had a proposal defense and I had 3 other dissertation defenses that I was a committee member on. And so I had to read those dissertations in preparation for the defense. So all these things are really important to consider in the schedule. And then you have graduation. So like there are things that happen for faculty that I just want you to be aware of so that you don't get frustrated, so that you can understand the ebb and flow of the semester for a faculty member. And so in general, about 8 months out of the year, maybe sometimes 6 to 7, depending, that you have access to your faculty members, and you have to figure out how to make best of the time. But what I find is that you have to be the driver of the process, because if you're going to wait for faculty to keep reaching out and doing all those things, you're going to be waiting a while, especially in those times when they have a lot going on. So you need to be reaching out. Part of what you might want to do now during the summer, if you can catch them before they leave, is send an email saying, hey, can we get a cadence of monthly or bi-weekly, whatever that is that works for you all in your chair, of meetings on the books now for starting in September, if they don't meet during the summer. If they meet during the summer, so you can catch them. Or if they're willing to meet with you like once each month, go ahead and do that. Or at the bare minimum, if you don't have access to your chair right now, send them a monthly email about your progress that you have been making, so that even if they don't read until they come back in August, it will be documented that you have been making substantial efforts to finish your dissertation. As a chair, we want to see you all making progress. We want to be part of that journey, but we need you all to help yourselves to do that. And so if you have any questions or this is resonating with you, let me know in the comments. And again, this episode is sponsored by our Velocity Group Coaching Program. So if you're someone who's looking to get out of your doctoral program, looking to get some hands-on support, and you want to work with us, you've heard a lot about what we got going on, you really want the help, you're ready to get this thing done and want a proven process in great community, go ahead and reach out to us. You can go ahead and scan the QR code that is on the screen, or you can go to www.velocitydissertation.com to apply to work with us. And again, if you want that support hands-on, this is where we really get into the nitty-gritty of your work, having it tailored to what you have going on in our community and being with like-minded scholars who are also making progress to finish their dissertations as well. And then for those of you all who are just starting to learn about us, this might be your first time hearing about what we have going on. I invite you to join us for our summer school series. So it will be a live, similar to what's happening right now, but we will talk about particular topics during the summer. And if you're someone that wants to get involved, you can text hashtag summer school to 301-701-2466. This will be a way for me to know who's interested. That way I can send you all a message when we are preparing with the information on how to join our summer school series and when the sessions are happening as well. And thank you. I see I had a comment from Dana. She said, thank you for this encouragement. It's easy to fall off the wagon during the summer, but I'm trying to stay on track. That is a fact. Yeah, the summertime is a great opportunity to take advantage of what's going on. Hey, Sandy, what's going on? Good to see you. And, for many of us, we just wait. We want to sit around and wait for our chair to tell us what to do. But y'all are getting your doctorates. You are experts. Experts take advantage and take a hold of their process. Because what's going to happen is that once you all earn this doctorate, you are going to be a researcher and a scholar, and people are going to look for you for your expertise. And you have to be comfortable in being willing to own what you're able to do. And so, with that, I want you to be very mindful that this is the opportunity for you to really take advantage and to be ahead of the curve. So when you come back in, September, if that's the case where you don't have access to your chair right now, you can hit the ground running. And again, if there are any questions, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to take any questions that folks might have. And again, I hope this is helpful for you all as you're thinking about the summer break. And then lastly, right, we've been talking about the idea of compound interest. So the idea that, for many of us, it's not a good time to take a break from writing your dissertation because the compounding interest of doing the work works against you when you don't do anything. And it's harder to jump back into it. It's harder to come back to it. Secondly, for many of you all, we talked about this idea that you can still make progress while your chair is away for the summer. So this is not a time to just sit back and cool it because during the semester, they're busy too. So why not make progress right now when you don't have any other competing demands like classes potentially, where you can just be all lasered in focus on your dissertation? And then lastly, the third reasons why you shouldn't take a break, for the summer from your dissertation is that I want you all to start getting in the habit of showing your dissertation chair that you are really intent and dedicated to finishing. Because what ends up happening, and this is the honest truth for many folks, out of sight, out of mind. And what I mean by that is, as a chair, if my student is not coming to me with consistent updates or having something ready for me to look at, or at least being in conversation, I have to move on to the next thing because I have a number of other things on the priority list as well, including yourself as a student. And so being mindful that during the summer is a great time to write your proposal. Like I had a number of folks, I'm even thinking about this time last year. Shout out to Dr. Asia Jones, who joined. She was in our velocity cohort. She started in May of 2022. She was like, look, I'm trying to finish my proposal. At the time she was writing her proposal, and she wrote her whole proposal during the summer and defended in September once the semester started back up. She defended in September and then defended her whole dissertation in March of this year, and is now Dr. Jones done. Less than a year from the time she was working on a proposal with us to finishing the dissertation. Like, these things can happen when you take advantage of these opportunities of time. And right now is a great time with the summer break. And, I want you all to start thinking about too, after working with so many students, even I'm thinking about my own journey. One thing I can say for sure, like, faculty can get overwhelmed with this. Like, think about if you are on the other side of this, right? And you had, let's say, even 5 students who are all at the proposal phase. And you could imagine, right, a dissertation proposal, let's say, is anywhere on the low end, 40, let's say 40 pages to the high end of 70 pages. Imagine you had 5 of those. You got 120 plus pages to read, give feedback on, meet with. It's a lot going on. So if you're someone who's not doing that work and not, showing your chair that you're committed to this process, it's easy for them to say, look, I'll put you on the back burner while these other folks who are submitting their work and trying to move things forward get my attention. Whether that's fair or not is not, I can't really, argue on that. You may say that's not fair, but it's just the reality of it. And so because, you might be in a situation, and it's not uncommon. I know faculty members that we support that have 15 to 20 students on their load. I was just talking to a colleague yesterday. Like, we talk about the fact that they had like 6 or 7 students they're chairing right now, in addition to being on like another 7 or 8 dissertation committees. It's a lot going on for faculty. And so we're trying to see at times of folks who take this very seriously and take command of this process. We're trying to hurry up and get y'all out because that gets you off our load. It gets you your result, gets us off our load when you're doing good work. So let me always put that caveat out there. This is not the time to just rush and throw anything at the wall and hope that it sticks. But no, this is an opportunity to be intentful with your work and like intentional with your work, excuse me, and really putting out high quality work, right? It's not going to be perfect, so don't try to get this thing perfect, but just high quality work that gets you one step closer to finishing your dissertation. And this is something that you can definitely do during the summer months. But many of y'all, what y'all want to do is go to Cabo, go to London, yeah, going to Paris to go see Beyonce. Y'all figured out all those other things that bring you joy, right? And instant gratification. And because this dissertation doesn't bring that same gratification as fast, it can be easy to put this on the back burner. But the summertime, this is the time to take advantage of the process. The only thing that's stopping you from doing it is you. And so, if you are someone who is looking to help get your dissertation done, I would invite you to apply to our Velocity Group coaching program. We are getting folks out. We've had a number of folks defend, which is amazing, right? So, shout out again to Dr. Watson. Shout out to Dr. Wendy Wallace. I'm trying to think of other folks who have recently finished up. Shout out to AB, who successfully defended his proposal. I'm trying to think, y'all. It's been like 4 or 5 people in the last couple of weeks who have wrapped things up. And even this semester, shout out to Marsha, who defended her proposal and is working on dissertation. There's a number of folks who are getting this thing done, and we want to see you all doing the same. Adriana, what's going on? And so with that, are there any questions about how to take advantage of the summer months? I'll stay on for a little bit and answer any questions that folks might have. And again, if you're someone that's interested in working with us and kind of want to get a feel for how we work and what we do, feel free to come to our summer school series. So if you want to learn more about our summer school series, make sure that you're part of our community. You can just hashtag summer school to 301-701-2466. But are there any questions? I'm just looking through. And shout out to folks from Velocity, our community, our coaching program, who are currently on watching as well. Y'all making significant progress and experiencing all the barriers that everybody else is experiencing and still figuring out ways to navigate them. And so I'm just so proud of you all, what you all have been able to do in the time that you've been working with us. Any questions? And thank you to everybody who's been hitting me up on LinkedIn. I see a number of folks who have reached out, and looking forward to connecting with you all shortly as well. But are there any other questions? And again, I would love to see you all at our summer school series if you're interested in joining. Or if you have questions about the dissertation more broadly, I'd be happy to take those as well. Or if you're someone interested in working with us, you have questions about the program, you can go ahead and shoot your questions as well. Just drop them in the comments. I'll be able to bring them up. And if you're watching this on YouTube or you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, jump on there, hit the subscribe button. We have all our past episodes on YouTube, as well as other new content that we put out. YouTube is the spot to be, so make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Any questions? Again, I'm just looking through our various platforms to make sure nothing has popped up. All right. Well, shout out to Dana for the comment from today. I appreciate you for joining in and participating and engaging in this. If you watch this on the replay, put who you are in the chat or in the comments, where you're coming from, what you're working on for your dissertation. And we want to hear more about what you got going on, because we want to see you all succeed. My goal is, again, at Done Dissertation, we're trying to help. Renee and I are trying to create an environment where we can help over 1,000 doctoral students write and defend their dissertation. We have a very lofty goal that we want to accomplish, because we know that the power of finishing this doctorate, it's opened up so many doors that someone in my situation could never have imagined in my life. And the doctorate is such, you could do so much impactful work with this degree. And so I want to see more folks earn it. And I don't want to see the dissertation being the reason why. So again, if you're someone who's interested in working with us, you can learn more about what we do at velocitydissertation.com. And if you want to learn more and go to the website, you can go to www.velocitydissertation.com. But again, I want to say thank you all for tuning in from this episode of From ABD to PhD. And I look forward to hollering and talking with you all soon. And actually, well, we got one more question that popped in, so I'll go ahead and take this one. The question was, how do committee members find time to read dissertations during the crunch time of the semester? That is an excellent question. A Facebook user, I'm not sure who wrote that, but that's an excellent question. So how I do it is I kind of try to think about if I am the chair or the committee member. So there's a difference, right? If I'm the chair, I have a lot more hands on with you as the student. If I'm a committee member, I'm more likely hands off, and I typically will not see your document until you and the chair send it off in preparation for a proposal defense or final dissertation defense. So I'm going to talk about the chair first, and I'll go to the committee second if I'm a committee member second. So if I'm the chair, how I like to operate is I have a system for it that I try to teach other faculty members because faculty members don't have a system. But what I do is that I like to see your dissertation in smaller chunks. I want to see it a chapter at a time. Some chairs want to see it at the whole proposal at once, but that's too much reading for me. So I know that I'm a pretty fast reader and I can give you feedback fairly quickly. So I like to see a chapter at a time. Chapter, typically is, somewhere 15 to 40 pages, right? Depending on which chapter you're working on. And so I like to see it a little bit at a time. For some faculty members, what they do when they're chairing is that they plan it, right? They put it in their calendar, just like you schedule class, you have to show up to be at class. We schedule it. Like I schedule time that I know on this day is my reading day that I'm going to look at dissertation stuff. And having a system makes it easier to do in this. Some faculty members are just a little more kind of just all over the place with it, and they'll just read it when they can find the time. But a lot of us do it that way. Committee members, we typically, will just read it in depending on how close we read too. So some folks don't fully read. That's why you might get questions out of proposal or final defense that make you say, "Hey, did you actually read the dissertation?" And that happens sometimes. But for many faculty members, we just read it or we skim, or are there particular parts that we are more interested in than others, and we'll spend our time reading those sections, right? Because we saw something during your proposal defense that we want to come back to at your final defense. And so those are those types of things that we might be looking at when we read through your dissertations. But again, it's a balancing act of what we and how we do it, because we still have our own writing to do, in doing our own publications and teaching classes, all these other things that are competing, and we still have to find time for your work. And then also, I think one key is that me as a faculty member, I will tell my student how long I think it will take me to get back to them. Especially if I'm have a lot going on. I want somebody to say, "Hey, I can't get this back to you for 2 weeks. Continue to work on, X step next." That's a great question. And the comment was, "Keep the momentum going. Only break is when done." That's a fact. That's a fact. Shout out to whoever dropped that in on LinkedIn. That is a fact. Definitely keep the momentum going consistently through the process. The folks who are consistent, even if you're not spending a lot of time every day or a lot of time, but you're consistent at it, those folks finish. That's one thing I do know. The folks who wait around and try to do it in spurts, they eventually do finish. Don't get me wrong, you will finish, but it'll take you a lot longer. And you have to consider what's happening when you take longer to finish. Oh, shout out to Dr. Ron Miller, man. That's my guy. He's a Velocity alum. Now I got a doctorate doing all the things now. So the thing to consider with this is that um, the momentum is so important. That's why I talked about the first thing we talked about was the compounding interest. Like you want to get that ball rolling, because the interest about you being successful breeds more success, which breeds more success, and then it keeps continuously gets things moving. And then when you start to become successful and you get confident, your chair starts to be more confident in you as a scholar, and so now they're more likely in being more invested in you and what you have going on. And so this continuous cycle happens, and once it does, there's no stopping you from finishing. But what stops people is themselves and not actually spending the time to do the work. And that's one thing, right? If you're someone who is just looking for someone to tell them what to do and hand them, and say, here's, I'm going to do it for you. The Velocity Group Coaching Program, we are not the space for you. We are the space for folks who are committed to doing the work, but know that there's a easier way to do it if they had the structure and strategy in place. And we provide that structure, strategy, and community to get things done. So again, if you're looking to get your dissertations done and you want to work with us, go ahead and visit www.velocitydissertation.com, or you can scan the QR code that is right here on the screen. It will take you directly to the website and you can submit your application. Are there any more questions before I jump off and enjoy my week? And again, I want to say thanks to everybody. Shout out to our Velocity graduates, folks who defended their proposals, as well as final dissertations over the last month or so. Shout out to Dr. Tallery Jackson. Shout out to Dr. Terrence Watson. Let's see who else we got now. Shout out to Dr. Wendy Wallace. Shout out to brother AB for defending his proposal. Marsha defending her proposal. Other folks this semester. Jesse for defending your proposal. I'm hoping all is well with your data collection process. And shout out to Kat who defended her proposal in April. Like, we got a number of folks who are getting through this process and moving the things along. And so excited for what you all are able to do. And so with that, I hope you all have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you all next time on an episode of From ABD to PhD. I'm Dr. Ramon Going.